I'm recording a one-size-fits-all legal disclaimer for the beginning of every episode that I upload. The views and the opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any agency, organization, employer, or company that they are affiliated with. Examples of analysis performed within this podcast are only anecdotal examples. They should not be utilized in any real-world analytics as they are based on anecdotal information. That is all. All right. So,
Hello.
hello. How's it going? Now, all right. Hi, my name is Robert Cross, and this is Cross Theory, the podcast that looks at one theory per podcast from this book, The Dictionary of Theories. I am joined today by an old friend. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Lionel. Um, I usually go by the moniker or alias Chief Lion from the musician scene. But yeah, pleasure to have joined this podcast and
Yeah.
be the inaugural moment
Yeah,
or inaugural episode. This is like the first
this
episode.
is like
So
the first one. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever not the first time I've ever done a podcast because I've been on podcasts and I did a podcast with a bunch of friends, but I've never done it alone by myself. So this is the first time I've done that. So this should be a lot of fun. And like I said, I've known Lionel for a long time, years. And before we actually start and I go into the actual theory or whatever,
mhm.
I actually wanted to just hold some space and say rest in peace to Mike Houlihan, man. Like
Oh,
we
rest in
miss
peace.
him. You know what I mean?
Rest
Like
in peace, Mike.
he was a friend of ours, and we all hung out together at points.
And Elliot
Um,
too. Elliot, rest in peace
oh,
too.
Elliot died. Oh man, yeah,
Elliot Moore too.
that's right,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All those
Both of
people,
them.
man. Yeah. Always, man. And so, yeah, like I said, we've had homies that have passed on and stuff. And that I'm not going to say that connected us more because we were already pretty connected from the beginning. But I mean, definitely knowing those people and feeling those feelings once those people were gone definitely helped to kind of solidify the friendship that me and Lionel have.
Huh.
For sure. Anyway, moving on to the happier things, or not happier, I guess, just the point of this podcast. Um, the theory or theories we're going to be looking at today have to do with this is going to be funny because again we're going in alphabetical order, so I don't get to choose
Mm.
it, the book does. This has to do with accounting.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, which I have no kind of anything, no experience. Do you have any experience in accounting?
I I mean that self accountability, no.
Oh no, no, I
But
mean like
money,
money accounting,
money,
no,
yeah,
yeah.
money. Besides spending it and
Yeah,
earning it, I mean
yeah.
that
Or
I've
not,
never
yeah, not
done the
making
digits.
enough of it, right?
Nah, exactly. The
Yeah,
accounting, no. I left that up to my I don't know nobody. I
yeah,
guess
right, yeah. The government, right?
I'm
Yeah,
broke. No.
yeah. Or we all are. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. So these are called a priori theories, and they refer to a system of accounting that was derived through deductive reasoning.
Mm.
So, how does this connect to us, the world or whatever? Um, Essentially, it's basically the perfect world fallacy because a priori theory in accounting is the belief that we can discover the correct way to value the world through deductive logic rather than by observing what people do. It assumes that if we start with the right truths and think clearly, we can build a perfect system of value that remains true regardless of human messiness. Now, again, we don't have to focus solely on this theory, but the thought of observing what people actually do compared to a perfect system that remains true regardless of whether or not a person's messy or not, or what, psychologically or the choices they make. Um, that's something we could talk about a little bit. I mean, that kind of connects to that theory. In your life, Lionel,
Hmm.
have you made some bad decisions?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think we all have. I mean, I failed a lot in life, but
Yeah,
again, you learn a lot from failure. I think you learn a lot from finding out exactly like what you're good at just by failing. I mean, by deductively just going through things and finding out what you're good at, finding a niche, you know,
that's very true. Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know.
No, I always whenever anybody asks me about like what uh shitty decisions I've made in my life, I guess. I always go back to the uh I should have gone to college right out of high school. Like right when I got out of high school, I should have just gone right into college, but I didn't do that. I
Neither did
partied.
I.
Yeah, I partied for like 10 years. I just went and I partied. And then I didn't end up going back to school until my late 20s. I was like 26, 27, something like that when I went back to school. And yeah, that to me was a kind of a bad decision. It was a good decision because I already had all that life experience before I walked into college,
Hmm.
which I know a lot of people that I work with and that I knew while I was in college. They didn't get that. You know, they just went straight in after high school and then they didn't really deal with the real world or with making their own kind of decisions or anything. So they relied on other people. My again, my people that know me, and if you don't, and you're just listening to this, yeah, listening to me or know me for the first time through this right now. My parents died when I was young. I was a teenager or a kid, you know, so I never really had anybody to like steer me any which way. But Lionel, you were talking before we started the podcast about your mother. What kind of influence did she have on your life?
I mean, she's pretty much been there for pretty much all my life. I mean, she basically told me everything to do, told me to do everything a certain way because she's been through it and she started from nothing. She started working in factories when she was 14,
Oh
15
wow,
in LA, which is probably where she, got some kind of, cancer,
yeah,
riddle,
yeah, yeah,
experience
yeah,
or,
yeah.
influence or whatever.
Mhm.
But, she's basically told me what to do at each step of my life. And I just went the opposite way.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, no,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
but I always come back with, my tail between my legs and be like, yeah, your mom, you're right,
yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
and it came to a point where it's like when I'm working the family business, my family, my dad and my mom, they made a lot of money in the 80s,
Okay.
doing legal work, legal
Oh,
immigration.
nice. All right.
So they made a lot of money in the 80s and they moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
Apart from my both sides of my family are from Northern California and
Okay.
LA area. So they raised me and my brother here,
Mhm.
but they basically instilled in me and my brother a big, strong work ethic. And it was basically just do things right. And there was nothing emotional. It was nothing really follow your dreams, follow this and that. It's like, no, it's cold calculated. This is how we did it. This is how you're going to do it. You either join the family business or go off on your own,
Yeah.
And me and my brother, he's now LA SDPD officer.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He
Okay.
actually it's been there for a couple of months already as officially as an
Oh,
officer.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, so he went into the military. I went to straight, doing music.
Yeah.
After I didn't even graduate high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I started finishing my credits and stuff like that, and going into Southwestern College and
Mhm.
studying film, I was still just working the family business and then doing music. You
Nice.
know, I really didn't want to do anything that my parents wanted to do because at the time I was born, upper middle
Yeah.
class, family, and I didn't really see money. I really didn't take any accountability for what I
Mhm.
was receiving working with the family and how to spend it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
basically just given these things, but I wasn't spoiled. I was taught to be humble. I was taught to treat people exactly the same, So I was always held to some kind of accountability when it came to, you know, being a good person or just being a person that just does things because they're right,
Yeah.
and because it's going to benefit people,
Yeah.
but I didn't learn. I mean, I guess we're all learning nowadays the
Yeah.
budget, especially in this society
Oh man.
when
Yeah.
things are going up, inflation's going up. I
That's
mean,
right.
I've been kind of a vagabond for the past
Mhm.
2 3 years,
Yeah.
working on myself.
Yeah.
If you don't know me from before, I used to be almost 300 pounds.
Yeah. 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 You
You,
were.
you
Yeah.
you
So
you
did
saw
I.
me.
So did
Oh
I. I
yeah,
was.
dude.
I
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I was huge too, man.
Congratulations to you
Thank
losing
you,
all the
man.
weight,
Yeah.
dude. Because I
Diabetes. It
remember,
was. It was the diabetes, didn't it?
Dude,
Yeah.
the diabetes did it for you, huh?
Yeah, it did, man. Yeah. I had to change everything, man. Have you had any kind of health scares like that?
I mean, no. I mean, thankfully, I quit drinking. I mean, you quit drinking. You're
I quit drinking a
sober.
long ass time ago. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I quit drinking heavily. I was drinking 24. I was drinking two 12 packs a day.
Oh,
You know,
Jesus. Yeah,
Paps,
yeah,
you know, when I
yeah.
was
Been
fat,
there. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so, when you're drinking that much, you really just, yeah, just not taking personal accountability for anything.
No,
You're
not at
spending
all.
money. You're
Yeah, yeah,
spending
yeah.
money.
Exactly.
You're wasting yourself away.
Hmm.
You're wasting money. You know, you're
Yeah,
just really not really accounting for anything
that's right.
besides the next hangover that you're going to try to cure yourself with. Or
Yeah.
let me repeat that. You're trying to cure the hangover by
That's right.
drinking and doing the same thing and eating bad food, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So what made you stop? What made you like switch off of all that?
I mean, honestly, it was the breakup. I had a relationship for
Yeah.
about over 10 plus years, but
Mhm.
when you learn that you are alone and you have to do things alone,
Mhm.
you start to realize sitting in the silence and sitting in this with a sober mind, you
Mhm.
start realizing, man, like I really do have these problems I have to work out. I really
Yeah.
do have to have this anxiety figured out. And I'm not going to say I fixed it. I mean, as a
No.
matter of fact, it's probably gotten worse, but I don't have that crutch. I don't sedate myself. I don't escape. I don't delve deep into escapism.
Yeah.
Every time I come into contact with an addict, whether I'm either actively
Mhm.
using, drinking alcohol and escaping,
Yeah.
or not, I always beg the two questions. I always ask the question, are you escaping or are you, just trying to get by?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Are you self-medicating or are you escaping? Because if you're escaping, so we're kind of segueing into
Yeah.
something
No, of
different,
course.
but
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so good.
when you're escaping, you're really not trying to deal with anything. You're not taking any self
Mhm.
accountability for anything.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Going back to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
accounting part.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you really disrupt your whole mentality. You disrupt the people around you, and it's like you're a duck in a pond. One ripple can turn into a tsunami at the other end.
That's right.
And we don't
Yeah.
realize that until we see this tsunami impacting our family at the other end, or our friends, or even society amongst
Yeah.
us. We're a community, whether or not we like it or not.
Well,
We
that's
influence
mhm.
everybody every day
Mhm. Yep.
with our mannerisms, with the way we talk, with the way we carry ourselves, with or without purpose. That it influences everybody.
That's right.
You know, and as an addict, and going back when I was in actively destroying myself,
Mhm.
um, it was, I wasn't really taking any personal accountability. you
Yeah.
know I wasn't being responsible for
Yeah.
once. If I didn't care about myself, I didn't really work on myself.
Yeah.
So what happens when the mind is destroyed and the mind is not able to move forward? It just wallows and loathes and sits in the cesspool that's created amongst itself, and this a primordial soup of just like anxiety and
Hmm.
all this pain and all this stuff. You're just suffering and suffering and suffering. You're being you're suffocating yourself, and nobody is going to save you.
No.
Nobody's going to save you if
Nope.
you're not excited about something. If nobody's going to be excited for you.
That's right.
So it's like this accountability. It's like we all have to be accountable for ourselves. We have to
That's
be
right.
accountable for our actions. We have
Yeah.
to be accountable for the next person, because even if you don't know the person
Hmm.
and they're messing up, like the other 2 months ago, I saw this guy passed out on the street across the
Hmm.
street. He
Yeah.
was waking up from a bender. I don't know
Yep.
what he was on, but I said, "Hey, bro, you can't be around here like that. Like, please, there's kids around. Let me give you a cigarette. Let me talk to you for a second.
Yeah.
Let's work it out. So we got to be not only accountable, we have to be in a strong mind state and a strong physical state
Hmm.
to take care of ourselves and take care of the people around us.
Yeah.
Because if we don't take care of this ship that we call Earth, I mean,
Yeah. It's gonna sink. Yeah.
it's
It's
gonna
gonna
sink
sink.
or
That's
crash,
right.
and
That's right. Now
So
what
yeah,
now did I talk to a lot of people that are either in active addiction or aren't in active addiction. What like did did you go to any kind of meetings or did you just do it straight cold turkey? Because I did it cold turkey when I quit and I haven't been to any kind of AA or NA or any of that shit. But
I grew up going to alcohol. My dad was an alcoholic, and
okay. Yeah.
he's right now in rehab.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So you did
but
like Al-Anon? Is that what
Yeah,
was it?
Al-Anon. That's what it was.
Al-Anon.
That's
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
literally
Al-Anon.
like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I did Al-Anon, and but when you're so young and you're being raised in a house full of addiction,
Yeah.
you don't really want to be around it. You really want to escape it. You really want to
Yeah.
just get away from it. So that's the only meetings that I had. I mean, today I'm opposed to it because I really have a hard time, being socially responsible
Yeah.
because my ADHD and my anxiety, I'll just blurt out things like I have Tourette's just to make things break the silence and be weird and funny,
Yeah.
break something. It's
Yeah.
like there's a line at a store.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was like, "Can we hurry up, please? My cat has insulin, needs his insulin. I need to go home." So I was just my mom even calls me out. She's like, "Don't do that." I'm like, "Mom, but it's funny." But my mom
Yeah.
says, "No, don't do that."
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is my
Yeah.
mom's place, so she's big into Buddhism and
She, yeah, 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 yeah.
being
Are you,
mindful.
do you have any kind of beliefs in that realm or whatever?
I mean,
Like
I was
religious?
raised religiously. I was indoctrinated, Catholic.
Catholic.
With
Yeah, yeah.
being from a Hispanic
Yeah, yeah,
culture.
yeah, yeah.
My dad, he went
Are
so
both of your parents Hispanic?
my mom, she's more of like Spanish, Middle Eastern,
Got it. Okay. What part of the
descent.
Middle East?
I don't. It's like Persian or something like
Persian?
that.
Okay. So
But
like,
my
yeah,
dad,
yeah.
he's mostly like indigenous Mexican, so
Got
it's
it.
like
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
big down south, darker and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But
True Aztec. Yeah,
or like they actually funny. They're Purapechas. Purapechas are
yeah.
from
Okay.
Michoacan,
Oh,
so they're
Michoacan. Okay.
so
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the only Indians that ever had metal tools, metal
Oh,
swords.
no shit. Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
So
Wow.
yeah. But
Yeah.
to go back to my family,
Yeah.
yeah, and the Al-Anon and the meetings and stuff, and being mindful,
Yeah.
it's like no, I mean, I basically just sat in the silence. I literally, I don't know if remember, I just literally, when I broke up with my ex,
Yeah.
I literally went just disappeared.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went into this whole like Abraham of Worms type thing, try to go ahead and do my own ritual, try to
Hmm.
find myself, and unfortunately, I ended up getting a lot worse before I ended
Yeah.
up getting better.
Yeah.
But
I didn't talk to you for a long time.
it
You
was
know what I
about
mean?
2 years. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
people
a
are going to
while.
be
Yeah.
surprised when they see
When
this.
they
They're
get
going
to
to be
talk,
some,
yeah, to see you
yeah,
talking and shit. Yeah.
yeah, they're going to trip out. That's for
No, it's
sure.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What are you hitting right now? What is that?
Uh,
Is that a vape?
yeah, it's Blue Raz Ice. It's a Pulse X. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have no. I literally. So
you stop
I
smoke cigarettes.
well, I stopped smoking cigarettes like 4 years ago or something, but I only ever did cigarettes. I actually never have touched a vape in my life. And but I did cigarettes for a very long time because when I was 14 years old, or when I was 13, my dad died and he used to smoke Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so he came to me in a dream when I was 14 and he was like, don't ever smoke and like in the dream, you know? And then I woke up and I remember being like, okay, I guess I'll never smoke. But then on my way I was walking to high school and I used to walk through, you remember that Mexican restaurant, Acapulco? You remember that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there was an Acapulco near my house. And so I used to have to walk through that parking lot there for Acapulco. And I walked through and there was a full carton of Marlboro Reds just on the ground, like unopened. It was sealed. And so I looked up to the sky and I said, thanks, Dad.
Thanks,
And I
Dad.
put them in
Yeah.
my backpack. And that's when I started smoking, was like 14. And I got busted a bunch of times at school. And I got busted a bunch of times after that. But then once I turned 18, I mean, all bets were off. I just started smoking, Camel Turkish Royales. Those were my go-to for a very long time, man. It was Camels, you know.
But to go back to the religious part,
Yeah, of
close
course.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I truly believe that was probably your dad that sent that
Oh
there.
yeah,
See,
for
like,
sure. No, no,
because
no. I've had a
because
lot of yeah, yeah.
because I grew up with so my dad went sober, he went Mormon, so I
Uh-huh.
was in the Mormon church for about 2 years. It
Oh
was
no
great.
shit. Okay, I
It
didn't
was
know that.
great. It was great being around like normal people that are sober, normal people, seeing a functional family. Like I
Yeah.
remember going to these people's houses, and I'm like, wow. First thing, growing up in South Bay, San Diego, there's a
Mhm.
lot of white people here too. So
Yes.
I go and I discovered like, oh wow, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sorry.
Good. No,
So I
you're
would
good.
go and I was like, wow, they got snacks. They got a pantry, So it's like,
Yeah.
because my mom, she would always cook food, and we never had snacks because my dad would get drunk and he would eat all the snacks.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like I grew up religious to a point where it was like it wasn't really a facet of spiritual and metaphysical. It was more of a sense of some family unit,
Got it. Okay.
learning how to see how families react.
Yeah.
But going through this whole transitional, transformative experience that I've had
Hmm.
in the past
Yeah.
two, three
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I was agnostic and I was atheist for a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
really angry at the world.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, cursing and cursing myself because I was born in a situation where I wasn't really enlightened to how grateful I should have been and how
Yeah. Yeah.
lucky and blessed I am.
I
I
get it.
mean,
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've won the genetic lottery when you were born with all limbs, all
That's
senses.
right.
That's a
Yeah.
genetic
Yeah.
lottery.
Yeah.
Everything else then is a plus,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, I do believe now. I mean, I do believe that there is something out there, and maybe I could talk about that later,
Yeah.
or on different podcasts, or because it's like I
Yeah. Or
did
whatever.
literally,
We can talk about it.
I
Yeah.
did die, for a minute, and I don't really
Yeah.
want to have a euphoric discussion about
No, of course.
addiction
Yeah.
or like talking about drug use or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I after that moment happened, I saw things and I was like, yeah, I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
but I'm going to start to let go. I'm going to
Yeah.
start to just trust the process and just exist without having these parameters that I'm going to try to force onto myself and the things around me and just let it go. Just
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. Just exist in the moment and react. No, not react. You can react,
Yeah.
but also manifest. I believe manifesting has a lot to do with, you're reacting and also proactively, making a conscious, logical decision to do right by for yourself and for the people around you.
Yeah. It's good.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like that's what I learned, and I still do that today. I
Good.
still say yes to things.
Yeah.
That's how,
Yeah.
when
You
I
said
saw you
yes to
posted,
this.
I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
able to, I'm going to do it. Just when
Yeah.
I try to help people, since my family had a bail bond business.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
had a bail bond business while I was doing music. They had a bail bond business because me and my brothers turned 18. They
Yeah.
started doing bail and went away from the whole legal immigration
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And, I was always liking to help people, but also learn. I've always had an inquisitive mind and learning how to find how things work. I don't know. I think I've been naturally just fast paced, anxiety riddled, but also aiming that funnel of anxiety at certain hyperfixations
Yeah.
and certain hobbies.
Yeah.
That's what I would delve deep into. And I don't think there's really natural talent. I think there's just a natural inclination to um hyperfixate, and that's what you could become good at. Just like how you
Yeah.
went from going cold turkey, you got
Yeah.
hyperfixated at just one day at a time, just one day,
That was it.
focusing in,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
that painting,
Yeah.
there's this vanishing point,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you see a
Yeah.
perspective. I think that humans can do that too. They can
Mhm.
literally hyperfixate, see that vanishing point, and they can lock in and just target their end goal. And
Yeah.
anybody can do that, dude.
Yeah.
It's as long as you got your senses, even if you don't have all your senses, there's ways to be handy capable now,
Yeah, handy cable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
you
mean,
know.
I've been dealing with anxiety and panic attacks and things like that most of my life, and especially after I quit drinking. Once I quit drinking, I mean,
Yeah,
it was insanity. I mean, I
crazy.
thought, oh, it was, yeah, it was like 90% of my time, other than sleeping. I mean, and sometimes even right when I'd wake up, I'd start having one straight away. But like 90% of
Mhm.
my time was just stuck in a constant panic attack. My heart was beating a million miles a minute. I was thinking it was just dread, existential dread.
Yeah.
And I what ended up I guess taking me out of that was my ability, like you said, to like hyperfixate on shit. And a lot of the things I hyperfixated on were all like creative things.
Mhm.
Like the writing, like you have my book back there, and that's the only one I've written so far, but I'm working on other ones.
Good.
And we'll talk about that I guess later. But no, the but yeah, like writing, doing music, uh, reading voraciously. Reading definitely calmed me down a good deal, and so I was able to read a billion things. But I guess the thing that calmed me down the most, which I guess is kind of, I don't want to say it's the healthiest thing in the world to get into, but like watching film, which like,
Yes.
you're like stuck on screens the whole time. But like
Yeah.
I've watched like if you look at my letterboxd, I've got like thousands and thousands of movies now that I've watched. But like I love movies, I love TV shows. I mean, if it wasn't for did you ever watch The Wire?
No, but I'm
Oh,
familiar.
okay. So in The Wire, um, the fourth season of The Wire, there's a character called Prez Belusi. They call him Prez, and he's a cop. And what
Mm,
happens is that he gets so sick of being a cop that he decides he's like, I'm gonna stop being a cop and I'm gonna go become a teacher. He
mm.
sees too much shit going on with kids and everything, and he's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. So he goes and becomes a teacher. And watching that, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I think I should go become a teacher too. And so that's what I did. And but my main focus at that time wasn't to teach, because what he does is he specifically pinpoints that he wants to teach at inner city schools because he
Mm.
sees like a lot of the gang activity and stuff in his
Yeah.
line of work, and he's like, I need to be the because as a teacher sometimes you are kind of like that membrane before they go into that life.
A catalyst.
Yeah, the cat, yeah, you're like right there, and if and how you treat a student sometimes pushes them to either be like, you know what, I like the idea of going to college and doing this or whatever, or every adult's an asshole. I'm gonna go and do this, and be a
Yeah.
gang member and kill people and do drugs.
Right.
So, I've seen that, in my own career now because I teach at Lincoln High right here, which is
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a hardcore school, that there's a lot of stories about how, there was a lot of gang activity because it's right on Imperial, right before you get downtown and all that stuff. And when I first got there, I thought, oh man, I'm gonna have to deal with a lot of crap. But I've found that like if you treat the students with respect, even if they do come in like super hard ass or whatever, um, I don't get a lot of problems. You know what I mean? And
mm.
I don't get and yeah, I mean I've had a couple of my colleagues, especially women, that have told me like, oh, you're a big hairy man. Of course they're not going to mess with you. But I feel like it's not always about that. Like I had big hairy teachers too that I wasn't, I treated horribly.
Yeah.
I was horrible in high school. Like, you said that
Dudes.
you didn't even graduate. I mean, I was
Ah.
right there, but that whole no Child Left Behind. I was lucky, I got, I got through high school on the by the skin of my teeth. I think my GPA was 1.86, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah, and you're not supposed to graduate without a 2.0. So, yeah, but I got my diploma and everything, and it was mostly they were like just pushing me out. They wanted me to just be gone. Um,
let's get this little big old oaf out of
yeah, yeah, they just
here.
didn't want me there, and
Fifth year
again, like
senior is fifth year senior is not a thing anymore.
no, 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 it's not. But it was back then. Back then it
Oh,
was.
really?
So no, it was because I had I don't know if you know my buddy David, little David Sarmiento. He I don't
Oh,
talk to
yeah,
him.
yeah. I remember
Yeah,
David. Yeah,
you
yeah.
remember him. Yeah, yeah. But
Mechanic guy. Yeah.
yeah, mechanic dude. Yeah, yeah. We don't talk anymore. He's kind of being funny right now.
Mm.
But back in the day, I've known him for going on almost 30 years now, that guy, what I mean, 20, 25 something years. And he ended up not graduating, when he went back and when he was like 18 and he was still in high school at 18, but he looked the part, he wasn't like some, if it was me, it would have been weird. But for
Yeah.
him, he looked like a high school student. So I guess it wasn't a big deal.
Because you're
But,
like what, 6'2", 6'3", huh?
I'm 6'1.5", something like that.
Six,
Yeah, I'm
I'll
six
give you
two.
the
Yeah,
6'2". I'll give you
yeah,
the six
almost
two.
6'2". Yeah, yeah, and
I'll
I'm
give you the
getting
6'2".
shorter as I age. Everybody does.
Hey, bro, you got to work on your back muscles, lower back
That's right.
muscles.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't. I crouch a lot. My wife is always telling me I have horrible posture. But you know, going back to the high school thing, working at a high school now, like I said, like watching The Wire. And again, I didn't want to do that. That wasn't my goal. My goal was actually to teach at university, at college, and I got to teach at SDSU for a few years, and that was cool. You
Was
know,
that
be,
philosophy or English?
I did English. I didn't do. Yeah,
English.
no, I was all English. I didn't. I did. Well, I did rhetoric and writing, which I guess is like close to because it's all pathos, logos, and ethos that I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
teaching. But I did that for, like I said, about 2.5 years ish, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I wanted to keep going, but it just like the politics and stuff, the
Mm.
administration, things like that. And it's not like I don't see things like that in K through 12 because I do. You know, what I mean, I see people that you know are they want to get to the top. and the only way
Yeah.
they can get to the top obviously is like stepping on your face or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
why,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't know how I mean, you've said that you've had kind of a transformation where you're trying to like, move forward and do, say yes to everything and all that. But I've never been somebody that's actually wanted to be at the top of anything. Like I've never
Mm,
been that. I've never wanted to do that. And even now, like I'm still going to college. I'm doing my doctorate right now.
good for you.
And
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Yeah. And so it's through Capella. It's not some like huge Ivy League school or anything, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah. It's like
And
the University of Hawaii
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I like in
no,
Better Call Saul. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. You
Yeah,
got the
yeah, that's
reference.
right.
It
Yeah,
was it was
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
what was the
It
island? What
was
was
American Samoa. It was the
American
first, yeah,
Samoa?
American Samoa. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Which, like, I would totally be down to graduate from there. But,
Hey, bro, it's hey, dude. Like my dad would say, he was like, it doesn't matter what you learn or what you do. The 99% of the work is sitting down in
yeah, doing
class,
it, doing it,
sitting
doing,
there. The
being there,
discipline, the
being there. Yeah, yeah,
discipline.
yeah. Discipline. Yeah. And so when we had our first, when I had my first doctoral class, and we all kind of like were introducing ourselves and saying like what we want for the future. Mostly everybody in there was like 45 of us. Mostly everybody in there was like, oh, I want to be an administrator. I want to be a
Mm,
principal. I want to do this, which is what you go to school to be to get a doctorate. That's what you want to do usually is be administration because they get paid rather
exactly.
well and they get to,
Going back to
and
counting,
they're in
accounting.
charge. Yeah, exactly. Go back
The
to the accounting
fiscal,
theory.
financially,
Yeah,
financially
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stable.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't like it's not that I don't care about being financially stable. Of course I do. I mean, everybody does. And living in California, it's the most difficult place in the world to be financially stable. And I would be lying right now if I said that I was financially stable at any point in my life, really, not just now. But
Yeah.
when we were going around and doing the like, what do you want to do? They came to me. It got to me eventually, and then they were like, "Well, what? Who are you? Whatever." And I was like, "Oh, I'm Robert. Blah blah blah. I have two master's degrees. One in English and one in creative writing and one in
You have
education."
two. You have
Yeah, I have
two
two.
now.
I have one in
Oh,
education.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and teaching and learning. Which again, I got from high tech. High.
Mhm.
They have a graduate school, and I got it through them. But I got
There's a
it.
high tech. There's a high tech high right here in Chula, right by
Yeah,
my
yeah,
mom's
the
pad.
Chula. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I hear it's a really cool looking campus. It's got like a view and all this stuff. I've seen
There's a
pictures of it. I've
there's a car
never
that's broken into that somebody like steals gas from and like breaks the windows for some reason. I don't
next
know.
to
It's
the high
weird.
tech high, really.
In the parking lot, the
Oh
two
wow,
cars
that's
they get
crazy.
broken into a lot. I don't know. I go running a lot and I see it.
Oh,
I'm
do
like,
you see
okay,
it? Wow,
yeah,
that's nuts. Yeah. No, yeah, I got the degree through them.
that's
And it's
cool.
again, well, yeah, it is cool, but it's like it's not like, when I say that, people don't usually, they're like, "Oh, you didn't get it through Harvard
It's
or
not. Oh yeah,
Stanford
Harvard.
or whatever." And it's like, "No, I got it through High Tech High." And but what was I saying? Yeah, so they were like, what do you want to do for the future?" And I said, well, I don't want to be an administrator. I don't want to be a principal because the doctorate I'm going for right now is actually reading and literacy.
Mm,
That's the official like it's an EDD with educational doctorate in reading
mm,
and literacy. So I'd still be Dr. Robert Cross. It's just that I'm going to
mm.
be Dr. Robert Cross with an EDD in reading and literacy.
Yeah, not
Um,
ED, but EDD.
EDD, yeah, yeah, EDD, yeah, yeah. And the reason I wanted that is because I'm teaching English language learners, so
Mm.
ELLs, kids that
Oh
like they
wow,
just got here and they don't really know how to speak
good
English
for
well,
you.
or they have been here a long time and they just haven't had a proper teacher to teach them
The
the
immersion
emerge, yeah,
aspect.
all that stuff. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And so I don't there I've been in a lot of those classes where I've watched other teachers do it and a lot of them do the whole like don't speak Spanish in here, don't speak Creole in here because I have a
mm.
lot of Haitian students and it's like
That's an
yeah,
old way of
I
thinking.
feel like it's the old way, and
Smacking the ruler down, and
exactly. Yeah, all that stuff. And I don't do that. If they're speaking Spanish, I'm like, that's cool and everything, and you can
I'll take
speak
two
Spanish.
tacos. No,
Yeah, no,
that's
yeah, no, I would never. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, believe me, some of those students. I mean, it's not like I don't give them shit if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing in the class. But some of them, when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I tell them straight up. I'm like, hey, look, man, good luck to you after school, after high school. I'm like, the way that you're acting right now, which again, like was me, you know, because
Yeah.
they could still end up becoming somebody like me, you know, it's not like they can't.
Yeah.
But like, I tell them straight up, I'm like, have fun working at McDonald's. Like some, you know what I mean? Because
Dude,
it's like at the end of the day, like, but McDonald's people actually make more money than I do these days. So like,
you're blessed to actually work with high school students because
mhm.
when I was in high school, I got my car when I was 15.
Yeah,
So
okay.
my mom made me get my car when I was 15, 16.
Yeah,
And when I got in trouble doing graffiti, and that was the first time I ever got run into the law.
yeah,
They My parents picked me up at the police station. They're like, this is your only chance to bail out. Like
yeah,
you're gonna be an adult in 2 years. Do something. So I did my
yeah.
community service, and I ended up working for South Bay Community Services.
Okay, cool.
So that was a nonprofit in Chula Vista, and I ended up working at Club TC in Chula Vista,
Mhm.
which was an after-school program. So I
Nice.
was 16, telling these teenagers on the cusp of preteens,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
teenagers, that I was an adult, but I was literally teaching them how to DJ and how to do airbrush and how to do art.
Okay, that's cool.
So
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so working with that whole middle school, I think that's the worst age because they're all
yeah,
going through puberty. You have hormones and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that I mean, just the experience of dealing with kids is really liberating, but also
Mhm.
too, it teaches you, it sharpens your sword on teaching and how to interact
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
people.
No, and you can, and I mean, just you saying that, I feel like I barely hear that from some of my colleagues, not the ones I work with now. The ones I work with at Lincoln High are actually like super honed in and everything on stuff. But like other schools I've worked at before, um, High Tech High, which I mean, I have no problems throwing them under the bus on here or wherever, because they don't teach traditionally. They teach
Mm.
like the project based
Montessori.
learning. Yeah, well, it's not Montessori. It's like close to that. It's not really,
Hmm.
but like it's project-based learning. So they have a project that they have to have finished by the end of the semester for the parents and for other students and for other teachers to come and like
Mm.
look at during an exhibition. And
So it's like
everything,
yeah, it's
yeah,
like
every
problem solving for like a goal,
it's all a
yeah,
goal. It's all goal
yeah.
based, which like I don't again, I don't like teaching to the test. It's not like I've never done that before because I have, but
Mm.
especially now because a lot of the students in my ELL classes, they have a test called the LPAC. It's ELPAC, which is the English Language Proficiency Assessment of California, LPAC,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And they have to pass that. And if they don't pass that, then I see them again next year. Like that's what
Mm.
happens, you know?
Mm.
And so some of the stuff that I teach them and that I have them learn is all based on that test.
Mm.
So, and that sucks for me. And I kind of tell them beforehand, I'm like, hey, look, I don't like teaching to the test. I would rather just teach you guys like how to use an M dash or how to use a semicolon or whatever, which is going the way to the dodo now because of AI. I mean, they can literally just type in whatever they want in Spanish and hit enter, and then AI will do it in English almost immediately, and
But
it'll be perfect.
you're teaching adaptive logic. You're
Yeah, all
teaching
that
the
stuff.
people
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
to actually use it in real world situations,
Exactly. Yeah,
as
that's what I'm
opposed to the
trying to do.
traditional is just like do the homework, pass the
Yeah.
test.
Hmm.
That's it. That's the curriculum. I think that's why I was always opposed to doing homework because unlike video games they have instant consequences.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
shoot, you die, you get your brain
Your
stimulated,
brain
and you
and it rewires it too.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
it
with
rewires it.
homework, you don't see the consequence with
No, not
homework.
till later. Yeah,
A
yeah,
week, oh, 2 days, a
yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like the school becomes problematic because they're not really being stimulated as fast as they could because you're
Yeah.
growing. You're not even going to finish growing till you're 25.
No,
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to have stimulation to fix those neurons and have them
yeah.
set. So, be a productive member, not
And
only for, yeah.
yeah, and believe me, when I first got into teaching, I thought to myself, I was like, I said, how do I want to teach? Like, how do I want to be the best teacher for the students that I'm teaching? And I thought that it was being like a traditional hard ass kind of like, oh, I'm going to grade you based on this. We're going to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to be a hard ass and I'm going to make your life a living hell unless you do what I tell you to do. And
Yeah.
that was how I went into the field. But since I've seen again other colleagues or I've talked to other people, even people at high tech, which again, I'll throw them under the bus, but there were people that I worked with there and that I talked to there that kind of molded my feelings a little bit more to where
Mhm.
like I'm not that guy that I once was. Like I said, when I first went into it, I thought I was going to be like Billy Badass, hard ass guy that was just like the all the students are like, "Oh, you don't want to be in his class," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now like I have students that are like, I don't like we're switching semesters. So I start the next semester starts on Monday and I'm going to have all new students. And
Mm.
so 2 weeks ago when I had my last class for the last semester, a lot of them were like, we don't want to change classes. We want to be in this class with you still. And
Yeah.
then, when they say things like that, which I've had other students say that to me, obviously in other classes, but like when I hear that, I'm like, well, maybe I'm doing something right, and especially the students that have the A's. If a student has like an F or a D and they say, oh, I really wish I could stay in your class, I'm kind of like, do you really? I mean, like, I'm not,
I think that goes. I mean, I've gotten compliments like that too when it comes
mm,
to teaching people things or people saying like, "No, I want you to help me." And I think that has to do with a lot with like you're stimulating them and not just the curriculum and the work. You're stimulating them as a human being. You're treating them with respect.
yeah, always.
You're acknowledging them as a human and as a growing human. You're
Yeah.
having that barrier between student and teacher,
Yeah.
and you're empowering that and you're bridging that connection because they see these other professors and these other people as hard asses,
Yeah, they are.
so
Yeah.
so they immediately have a brick wall and like I'm just not going to do anything but just be that kid that they think I am and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But see, when you have a student tells you, say, hey, no, I want to keep you, it's because you're really making an influence on their life. You're
Yeah.
really, really showing them that, hey, I can be better because this person is being my senpai, being my real teacher,
Yeah.
real
Mhm.
professor. And I think that's a lot of that personal connection is being lost with TV
Yeah. Yeah.
and all this idolization of
Yeah.
of what's on in their whatever social media
Faces all
lives
the
they are.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of masks that now kids have to wear.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now people can't be rebels like me and you were back because once there wasn't a lot of cameras around to do
No.
to capture what we were doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not that it was bad, but it's just that when you're put under a microscope, you behave different.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so when you're under surveillance, you behave totally different. You're going under pressure. You're
And you know
being
what
put
that
in a pressure cooker.
have you've heard of Foucault, right? Michel Foucault.
No, who's
He,
Michel
so
Foucault?
so he was a philosopher and he did this thing called the panopticon where like
Huh?
we're all inside of a jail and we react differently when we're being observed than when we're not. Basically what you just said. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I mean, I'm going to get to that theory eventually in this book, I'm
Okay.
sure. Then when we start doing this podcast, but yeah, it's all about like how you react when somebody's watching you, which like I do all the time because as an educator, a teacher, you have the administration that will come into your room and watch you teach.
Mhm.
And when I'm being observed, man, I am so like I feel like I'm not the best teacher when I'm being observed just because I feel like I'm
Why do you think that
screwing up.
is?
I just don't know. I feel like I'm screwing up the whole time. I feel like they have a different idea of what teaching is. The students don't know, obviously, because they don't, students are the students. But the people that are administration, they're the ones that are in charge of hiring the teachers, firing the teachers, keeping the teachers there. There's Foucault right there. Yeah, there he is. Yeah,
Oh,
see,
okay.
that's the guy. But
Okay.
yeah, but
So do you think do you think that is because you acknowledging the fact that there's a certain way that they indoctrinate people and that they want you to be? So not
um,
necessarily saying that they're indoctrinating you, but you know that their old ways. You obviously know that there's a difference between their style of teaching and yours. So maybe
yeah.
you think a lot of things that anxiety comes from that because what you're doing is. I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes we don't know what the hell we're doing.
No, we
You
don't.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's like, do you think a lot of that anxiety and a lot of that pressure and a lot of that angst, I guess, from them
Yeah.
watching you just kind of like stems from that, or where do you think?
Well, one of my colleagues, he actually started a podcast too. I think a few months ago he started this podcast. It's called Imposter Syndrome, and he talks to students who have already graduated from Lincoln High and gone
Mm,
on to colleges and stuff. And he talks to them about how they felt leaving the school and how they felt when they were in school.
mm,
And like I said, it's like that I feel that still to this day, like the imposter syndrome, like I'm not supposed to be there. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll have, I had an administrator when I first started working at Lincoln. He came in and he sat down and he observed me, and then he sent me, an email right after he observed me, and he was like, "Oh man, you're amazing. You're one of the
It
teachers that
started,
is gonna."
you prefaced
Yeah,
it with a compliment
yeah,
first.
yeah. With all, but it was
That's
no,
great.
it was all compliment though. Like the whole thing was,
Really?
and I thought, man, I thought I was screwing up. I thought I was like, but the whole time, I was so worried. But then seeing that, I was like, okay, cool. But even after seeing that, like because my brain's the way it is, I'm sure your brain is similar in some ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Like even after seeing that, you're like, was he saying that because he,
Yeah, the
didn't
trust
want?
that you're, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he
It's like,
didn't.
is he saying
Yeah,
that out of cordial, or is he
yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah.
does
Or
he
does he
believe in
really
me?
think that? Yeah, yeah.
I
Does
mean,
he really think that?
I think that goes back to the addiction. Our families having
Yeah, yeah,
addictions.
yeah.
We don't really have a sense of self-worth, so
Uh-huh.
we don't really like believe in ourselves. Even when people believe in us,
Yeah,
we're like, nah, they're just being nice. Even if a girl takes me out, wines and dines me, 69 and everything, I'm
that's
like,
right.
no, maybe she was just feeling lonely for a night. I'm not gonna bother her anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, she was probably down on her luck, and I'm down there with the bottom with me. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother her.
No,
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
man.
No, that's how. Yeah, yeah. No, that's how it is sometimes. And you feel that way
Yeah.
when you do a thing that you're not. I don't know if I mean, professionally right now, I am technically a credentialed teacher, but
Yeah.
in my if I was looking at it from the outside, I'd be like,
Who's this
um,
guy? No.
yeah, who is this dude? Like, what's going on? Like when I watch myself, when I videotape myself, like even this, I'm recording this, and then I'm gonna listen to it back, or I'm gonna watch it back or whatever, and I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? Like what do you like whatever, Even though I feel like I'm doing okay, it's not like our conversation's getting too crazy or whatever.
But
Um,
I think you being hard on yourself. I think that pushes you to do better and try not do better necessarily like you did wrong the first time, but I think
no,
it's
yeah,
like you try to you think you failed in your brain, but you
yeah,
succeeded. But you're building up these failures that in the end they're just pieces of a better pyramid of
yeah,
success.
yeah,
That you end up building because everything is a cornerstone in your
that's
life.
right.
Everything you got to build it up. It's baby steps.
Yeah. Speaking of pyramids, I went to Egypt, right?
Dude, I
Yeah,
was talking
yeah,
to a friend
yeah,
about that, but yeah, tell me more. How
yeah.
was that?
Oh, it was yeah.
Going to one of the motherlands, or for now they're saying it's not a cradle of civilization, but I think
Oh
kind of
no,
is.
it definitely is. But that was in 2018, so that was what is that? 8 years ago I went.
7 years ago,
Seven,
yeah.
7, 8 years ago. Yeah, yeah. And speaking of the pyramids not being perfect, I mean, when I went there, I mean, I knew that the pyramids weren't perfect. You know what I mean? Like obviously they've eroded and all those other things. Um, but I went and I saw if you get really close to the pyramids, you don't see this on most pictures or whatever, but when you get really close to them, or any of the monuments or the statues or any of those things there, you see uh, graffiti. People have etched their names and dates and things like into it, and I thought that was really cool because I didn't really know that. I mean, I've been studying Egypt most of my life since I was a little kid, which is why I went. And
Yeah.
but being like that close to the pyramids and then seeing like somebody's name, it's like Mike whatever, and then it has 1902 like next to it. Like the guy was like in 1902 he etched his name into the pyramid, and it's like, and I'm looking at that graffiti essentially, or whatever, the etching into the rock,
Isn't
and I
that
thought that was sick.
crazy how you're literally sharing the same space and
Yeah,
occupying the same
yeah, yeah,
time, like not the
yeah, yeah,
time,
yeah.
but essentially you're there with that person because they
116 years
strive.
later, 116 years,
Exactly,
it's like
etched
nine.
in
Yeah,
stone.
yeah, yeah,
Did that
yeah, yeah.
kind of like make you look back on your own mortality and kind of make you
Well,
think like,
yeah.
how am I going to leave my graffiti mark on this society? Are you
Well,
going to,
yeah. Well, it always does. Anytime I think about time or any of those things, I'm always struck by the fact that one day I'm not going to be here. And
Yeah,
but the other thing is that there was one point in time where I wasn't here, right? Like before
yeah.
1985, I was born in 85. Like
Me, 87.
1984, 83, all this, before that, I wasn't around, right? I wasn't even a twinkle in my daddy's eye, as they say. And the weird part about it is that the way that I felt before I died or before I was born is probably going to be the same way that I feel after I die in some way. I mean, that's how again, I don't have really a huge belief system or anything in any kind of
Mm-hmm.
gods or monsters or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
like, what I try to think about when it comes to my mortality is that what I hope is it would be great to see my family again, my parents, all that thing like that when I die.
You
Is
know, you
that
can you can arrange that. You can actually do pre-death funerals.
oh really?
Did you know that was a thing?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No, no, no,
but
no.
yeah, but to
What's
finish
a
what you
what's
were
a
saying.
what's a pre-death funeral?
So
I'm
so
intrigued.
I don't know if I got it from a movie
Yeah, yeah,
or it was an actual thing. So a lot of people when they get here, or these people that I've seen or I've witnessed somewhere, or come across it in my life,
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's like um, they get diagnosed with cancer, for example,
yeah,
and they want to have a funeral, a wake, as if they died, and they want to
yeah.
see who comes out. You know,
Oh,
I think
got it.
so they to kind of like I'm pretty sure that's some kind of like self masturbatory ego,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Pre-death funeral. Let's see. I'm like
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah,
pre-death
so
funeral,
yeah,
or I don't know, final farewell before I die, embalming process. But anyways,
living
but
funeral. That's I see that at the top
living
there.
funeral. Oh,
Living
okay.
funeral. There it is, right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
At
Oh,
the top,
living
right
the
there.
top
The living. Does it say living funeral there?
where
The the
uh,
the top one. What does that
oh,
say?
my final farewell before I die in the face of death. Oh, okay. I get my final farewell before I die. I think there's one of them. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
we're
So
not
I
gonna
mean,
play it, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I get stuff like that, but I mean like more along the lines of like my uh because I've like I said, when my parents passed away, that was a huge, obviously that was huge trauma, right?
Yeah.
And I have dreams occasionally where they show up, right? But the weird part about the dreams about them is that they keep getting older, and my dad died at 40, so like I'm 40 right now, which means that next year I will have outlived my father, which is
Mm-hmm.
odd to think about.
It is a
And
trip,
then
though.
yeah, and then my mom was 50 when she died, but she always dyed her hair black. I never saw her with gray hair. And so, but in these dreams, I'll be having discussions with them in the dreams and they have gray hair and shit. And it's like they're getting and wrinkles and stuff and I'm like this is weird because it's like they're not around anymore, you know what I mean? Like technically or whatever.
Do you think their memories of the memories that you have of them are aging with you?
I
Because
mean, yeah, they could,
as you
yeah,
get gray, maybe that's why.
it
I
could
mean,
be. Yeah, it could be. But like I said, like, I mean, and that could be, again, a whole nother podcast where you talk about that. And I'm sure there's some sort of theory in there that we're going to get to with that. But my whole thing is that why, why would my brain, how is my brain capable of doing that? Number one. And
mhm.
if it's not capable of doing that, then what is causing the aging of the souls of my parents, even in the afterlife, right? And then when does that stop? Because if I die when I'm 70, like I do not want to be hanging out with my mother at like 150 or whatever. I couldn't imagine her being, uh this radiant angel or whatever, at
I
150 years old,
I think I have a theory. I have a
Yeah, go
theory
ahead.
about that. I think
Yeah,
I
what
saw
is
it.
yeah.
So I think it's a coping mechanism.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah.
but also too, there's I think I saw something on one of these articles. I subscribed to articles or whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
I said that every time somebody goes through a traumatic experience, like a plane crashing on Mount Everest, a plane
Yeah,
crashes,
yeah.
a
Yeah.
lone survivor,
Yeah.
an angel saved me.
Yeah, yeah.
But what they found out is that the brain compartmentalizes or
Compartmentalizes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
compartmentalizes. You're an
Yeah,
English,
yeah, yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
but
know
it's
what the
just
word is.
so our brain flips into a survival mode and
Yeah.
creates this alter ego that helps save us. And the brain is so powerful, it can actually just literally manifest, just like a schizophrenic can hallucinate auditorily and visually.
Yeah.
It can probably even just project another person and telling you exactly the right survival mechanism to use to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it stems from that part of the brain. Maybe who
Yeah.
knows? But I mean, we all see our family as, especially our parents and our ancestors, as people of wisdom,
Yeah,
you know. And maybe as you age, maybe you see them too as, they got to have gray hairs. If I'm going to listen to somebody, I'd rather listen to an adult with gray hairs than a
yeah.
baby or
Like
some
in
kind
like
of.
you want it like so what you're saying is kind of like the tribal elder kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's the person like we go to for wisdom. And
yeah,
we do it in our dreams, right?
yeah.
So we look to our dreams for wisdom sometimes, but what they've said that well, neuroscientists have said that dreams are what are like you said compartmentalizes. Dreams are kind of like our brains doing like the
Processing of the
it's
day.
processing of the day and processing of our lives and doing kind of the what's that thing that you do on
Clerical work.
yeah what's that thing on Windows where you do the where it does the disk and it like it
It's mounting the disk,
yeah well it's doing all
or
the
partitioning.
partition and all
Yeah.
that yeah it's like partitioning our brains to like you know get us ready for like what's to come you know
And remembering too, it has to a lot of sleep. So people
yeah
don't realize that
memory
sleep,
yeah
yeah, sleep has to do with memory too.
hmm
It's basically allocating all this energy and
yeah
and making you go through another conscious experience, because you're conscious in your dreams, whether you
yeah
believe it
yeah
or not.
yeah
You're conscious that you're at one point because you remember them.
yeah
You have a choice in your dreams. So for those of us that can actually lucid dream, I could
yeah
lucid dream. I could lucid
yeah
dream when I want to. That's
yeah,
one
that's
thing
cool.
that
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I can do it, but I can fall asleep whenever I want. I can go to sleep and
Do you take
dream.
do you take melatonin or anything to
No,
sleep?
I don't. I
No.
don't do anything besides.
Yeah.
I have, since my anxiety and whatnot. I
Yeah.
can just be sober and just like run on fumes for a day or two, and then
Mhm.
just go to sleep, just pass out. Like
Yeah.
last night, I was getting a lot of anxiety and I couldn't go to sleep, and I just slept about 4 or 5 hours.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tend to just really just, tire myself out until my body says, okay, go to sleep.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, when they do a lot of drugs or go through a lot of traumatic experience or being held hostage, not only
hmm
mentally, physically too, you
Yeah.
start to not remember a lot of the trauma. You start to black out because your brain's not going into that rest mode to
Yeah.
replay the day and learn. That's why people get stuck in situations where they're a slave tied up to a bed somewhere in like the
That's
Midwest as
true.
being
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
kind of slave, either whether they were hostage since they were birthed, or unfortunately, or taken from their other family members or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, yeah, your brain, it really is a really magnificent uh pile of jello and neurons.
That's right. Yeah. No,
you know
they said it's the world's best pattern recognition machine. The brain is, which is
Correct.
yeah.
Which is also too the reason why a lot of people see a lot of faces and things, is because instinctively and speaking on survival,
Yeah.
survivally speaking,
Yeah.
you have to know that your species, you have to recognize your species.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
see faces. Our brain is a computer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we notice patterns. So that's why we feel more comfortable around a humanoid
Yeah.
than a beast growling in the
Yeah.
bushes,
Of
because
course.
that's
Yeah.
why that's why
Yeah.
deep sounding sounds, like resonant sounds,
Yeah.
like orchestral sounds, it's always dark and ominous
Yeah. Yeah.
in the movies, and it represents kind of like fear,
Yeah.
because that fear stems from your instincts, your primal brain. Like,
Yeah.
no, the lower sounds are from that cheetah that's
Yeah.
growling in the fucking bushes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And there was I could have sworn that I read somewhere that the one of the guys from Daft Punk,
Uh-huh.
he did the soundtrack for the movie Irreversible. Did
Tru-
you ever see that?
no, I never saw it. I'm not
Okay,
familiar.
so yeah. So there's this movie Irreversible with Monica. You know who Monica Bellucci is? She was a
Yeah,
yeah. So in the movie, she gets raped, right? And
terrible.
so yeah, so the guy from Daft Punk, I'm pretty sure it was a guy from Daft Punk. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. He found notes that were so low and ominous and everything that he played as she was getting raped to make the whole theater audience feel uncomfortable like the entire
Mm.
time,
The
right?
ominous,
Yeah,
the
it's like the
ominous.
ominous, but they're underneath everything. So it's like there's music going, but there's like these notes that are underneath it all that make you
Yeah.
feel like your heart's beating fast, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it messes with
That's
you. You know what I mean?
that's subsonic,
Yeah,
that subsonic
subsonic stuff.
resonance,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
resonance, that
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
resonance.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
what happens when you're going, what happens when you see somebody get shot or you see an accident or
Yeah.
something goes
Mhm.
in slow motion, everything goes dark and you just hear like this like low
It's a
tone.
low tone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's really interesting. I've always been fascinated with not only music, but just using and learning the brain to trick it into feeling certain things. And I think a lot with music, we've only scratched the surface because a lot of people are realizing that music is could be healing. It could be actually
Yeah, yeah,
influence. It could influence your life. Many people
yeah.
didn't believe that in the back in the day.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah,
thought dude, it
yeah,
was just like a party thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but music could really, change your life and sound particularly. Like
Yeah.
you see those people that go to the pyramids and they
Oh
do
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of
yeah. Oh
chants.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? They use a
Well,
lower frequency resonance for healing or whatever, channeling
yeah.
alien entities.
Well, so when I was there, and I tell this story to people sometimes when they ask me about it. So I went with this guy to Egypt. We didn't go together, but we went separately, but we met up and everything. But he was somebody who I knew from San Diego, who I don't talk to anymore. But he was very much into like yoga and like, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so he thought it would be cool when we went into the Great Pyramid, because we did. We went all the way into the Great Pyramid and walked up to the King's
What? Oh,
Chamber.
I
And
remember
yeah,
you. I remember
yeah,
you
we did
you
all.
snuck a picture. You
Yeah,
weren't
I
supposed
stuck
to,
it,
but
but
you
yeah,
snuck a
you weren't
picture.
supposed to any of that. Yeah. And so I get to we get to the top, and there's a guy sitting there by the entrance with an AK-47. He has an AK-47. He's sitting there next to the entrance. And my buddy goes in and he gets down, does like the Indian cross legs thing, and he starts going, and starts doing that. And I'm telling you, the reverberation of that
Mm,
frequency of him saying that started like it was vibrating me. Like I was like, whoa,
yeah.
this is crazy. And the guy
It's
runs
bouncing
it.
back and forth,
Yeah,
like
and
bouncing.
and the
Yeah.
guy at the front runs into the room with the AK and he points it at him and he goes, "No meditation, no meditation." He's like pointing
What?
at, yeah, you're not supposed to do that in there, man. It's like,
What?
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah. It was wild.
Like
But
it's almost
I always tell that story because it was
it's
crazy. I was like, wow, you
it's
know.
like you're not supposed to be channeling these.
Mhm.
It's like almost like he's spilling a secret. Like you can't do
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
You
and
can't.
we saw some crazy shit on the way back down. We came back down from the King's Chamber, and then there's the Queen's there. So there's like a gate there after you come down from the King's Chamber, and the gate is the entrance to the Queen's Chamber, and it's like a long hallway, like or a long passageway, I should say, because it's
Just so the
really
pharaohs
low.
can see which dudes are coming towards the queen.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Um, but we were looking down that passageway, and you could see some light coming through there because there's openings throughout, around the whole pyramid, and so we
Yeah.
could see some sunlight coming out. But it was weird. We could have sworn both of us saw it. There was like this like rainbow colored orb that was coming towards us, and it was like floating, coming towards us, and we freaked out. We were like out of there. We just took off. But
Really?
it was like doing this. It was just coming towards us like this orb, and we were like, "Whoa, yeah, no, it was pretty crazy." But it was, like I said, that was the coolest trip I've ever been on, and I've never been outside of the country other than that. I
That's
mean,
right.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I've never even been. I've
How
never
was
been
the
to Mexico, man. I've never even been there.
United not in TJ, huh?
No, never been to TJ. None of that. Not
But
not
how about
because I'm like afraid or anything, but just because like I can drink and smoke and do whatever I want here if I want.
right?
I
Exactly.
the food's probably better. I'll give it that. But I mean, like
How was
I'm
the food over there? How was the food
at
over there,
Egypt. In
though?
Egypt, the food was pretty good. So I can't eat any of it now because I'm diabetic. But back when I wasn't, they had this stuff called koshari, which is it's basically a bunch of pasta, lentils, all kinds of stuff, and then like a
Yeah.
tomato sauce with
Ooh,
like a spicy oil over the whole thing. And
nice.
man, and they sell it in like these gigantic like popcorn bucket kind of things, and it's just all
Yeah.
just it's been, and it was super cheap because the exchange rate is the same right now. I'm sure if you look it up. When I went, it was 40 to 1. The
What?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went. I
That's
only
almost double the peso,
yeah.
basically.
So I only went there with $200, and I was there for 2.5 weeks, and I came home with like 100 and something dollars. Like I was like,
Was it you that posted that you got with the camel riders or something like that?
well, so
Or they
what
try to
happened?
charge you?
Well, yeah, yeah. So I was doing I did the camel ride, and we went around. Well, so what happened was I was walking up to it was the first because so I went to the pyramids right after I checked into my hotel after I landed. So the plane landed. I get into this taxi with a dude. So the hotel sent a guy, right? So he's got a little thing that says cross on it, and I'm like, all right. And
Yeah.
so I get into the taxi with him. We leave and go straight over to the hotel. And I get out, I put all my shit away, and then I come back down and I told the guy straight up, I was like, hey, I need another taxi guy because that guy took off. And he's like, well, what do you need him for? And I said, I said, I'm totally jet lagged right now because it was morning at the point when we landed, and I had been up for like 20 something hours because I
Yeah,
didn't
you're
go to bed or
27
anything.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was some ungodly amount of time. And then but I was hyped up that I was there. I was like my adrenaline was keeping me awake. And so I told him, I was like, yeah, get me a driver for the whole rest of the day. And he's like, okay, how much money do you have? And I told him straight up, I was like, I'll give him 400 English or Egyptian pounds, which is $10, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, 400, he was like, whoa, really? Like
And
the
King of
guy
the Castle,
they
King of the Castle.
start tearing up when you give them $10. It was crazy. And so
What?
like yeah, it was out of control. And so I get downstairs and I told the guy straight up, I was like, yeah, take me to the pyramids. And he's like, well, the pyramids don't open for like 30 minutes or something. I said, yeah, just take me there. I'll hang out outside of the pyramids. I don't care. And so
Yeah.
the pyramids are really weird because when you're going, you take like a freeway to get there from Cairo. So Cairo's like the main downtown, and then you have
Yeah.
to take a freeway to Giza. And
Yeah.
so you're taking the freeway there, and you think when you're on that freeway, you're like, okay, I'm gonna look on the horizon and I'm gonna see the pyramids before I'm there, whatever. And it was a clear day. There weren't any clouds or anything. And so I'm looking on the horizon. I'm not seeing anything. And I was like, ah. And then so our exit comes up, and we get off the exit, and I'm like, God, I didn't see any pyramids or anything, whatever. We get off on the exit, and then we turn this corner into like this, like looks like this like ancient Arabic market. There's like all the lamps and the carpets and shit everywhere. And we turn this corner, and literally right in the middle of the street, you could see the freaking Great Pyramids right there, like beeline straight through. And I was like, man, this is sick. Like I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, this is awesome. And
The
so
juxtaposition of it, huh?
yeah, it was because like you didn't see it going like on the way there, you don't see him at all. It was like it was like they magically appeared. Like he turned this corner and then there they were, and I was like, holy shit! Like I
What?
didn't see these because we were on a raised freeway. It's like a
Yeah,
raised
yeah,
freeway, and you'd think like, oh, you could see him off of the raised freeway. No, there was like nothing. Like it just looked like desert and like all these dilapidated buildings because everybody lives
yeah,
in like a an apartment that's crumbling in Egypt, and so
yeah.
but anyway, we get there, and then we talk to the people in the front. We're like, "Oh, hey, how much does it cost?" Whatever, and they're like, "It's like $1.25 or something to get into the pyramids," which I was like,
They're
"Yeah,
like,
no,
I don't care. Do
no
what you
problem,
want.
dude.
Yeah,
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 whatever." And so we bought the tickets. Then we waited like it was like 25 minutes or something for them to open. And then once they opened, you have to go through like three metal detectors, which I wasn't worried about. I'm not a terrorist, so I wasn't worried about it. So we went through and we were fine. And then as soon as you get through the like that main office with the metal detectors, like 50 Egyptian guys run towards you and start asking you. First they ask you if you want a tour. That's the first thing because they want you to pay them money to give the whatever. And I told the first Egyptian guy that walked up to me for a tour. I said, well, what are you gonna teach me about? And he
show
goes,
or show me.
yeah,
Yeah,
what are you going to show me? And he goes, well, I'm going to tell you about the names of the pyramid. And then I just started naming them. I was like, that's Khafre, that's Khafre. So I did, and he was like, he just walked away. He knew exactly. He was like, I'm not messing with that guy. And then,
you're like, oh, the next guy. He's like, I'll show you my family's toilet.
that's
Like, get
right.
in
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah. Because I'm like, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I've never seen that
Yeah.
before. Um, but no, and then so you get those guys that want to give you a tour. Then you get the guys that just come up to you for tips, and they're called because tip in Arabic is bakshish. So they call them,
Bakshish.
yeah, they call them the bakshish ghosts. So they'll come up to you and they'll go bakshish, bakshish, which they just want tips. And you're like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I threw like a couple English or Egyptian pounds at them. Sure, whatever.
You
I
throwing
didn't
the
care.
pence at them.
Yeah, I literally, they were coins. I was like, go get it, kind of thing. I was like, I don't care. Um, but then you get the guys that have the camels. And
Yeah.
so the guy came up to me with the camel, and I said, how much to do the camel? And he said 180. And I thought, oh, 180 Egyptian pounds, that's like what? If $4 is 400 or $10 is 400, so 180 was like $5 almost, up $4, $4 or $5. And he's like,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll take you all the way around with the camel, the pyramids, and then we'll take pictures, right? And I thought,
yeah.
sick, And so he
They're
gets
gonna
me on
charge you
this.
for the pictures.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, because I asked about that. I said, are you going to charge? He goes, no, it's all part of the package. I said, okay, cool. So we
Yeah.
get on the camels, and I asked him, I said, what's the name of this camel? And he said, Bob Marley. That's what he said. And because they named the camels after like, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, all these
Make the
different things.
tourists like
Yeah, make the
relate.
tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like American stuff or what, even though Bob Marley's Jamaican, but they don't care about that. But so we get around, we do the pictures and everything, and I'm thinking like, wow, this is definitely worth $4 and something or whatever, right? And then we get off the camel, and the guy goes, okay, 180. So I pull out 180 Egyptian pounds, and I'm about to give it to him, and he goes, no, American. And
What?
yeah, and I told him straight up right there. I said, go fuck yourself. I was like, you're not getting 1 cent from me now. I was like, at first, I was going to give you this money. I said, now I'm not giving you anything. And I put it in my pocket and I walked away. And he starts running towards me. And he's like, I gave you a service, all this other stuff. And then they have these cops there that have three lines
Mm.
on their patch on the side of
Mm.
their thing, and they're called the tourist police. And so what they do is that if anybody's messing with the tourists, because tourism is the main the main thing in
Yeah.
Egypt, if anybody's messing with a tourist, they immediately throw them into a van, and then I guess they're never seen again. And
The tourists
so
or the people or the
the
people
people, the people that are
yeah.
messing with, yeah, not the tourists. Yeah, yeah, they're for the tourists. So I saw
Yeah.
the guy with the three lines, and I went and I started walking towards him, and I was pointing at him while this guy's running after me, screaming. And the guy stopped. He goes, and he just walked away. He was like, yeah, no, but yeah, because
Ah,
he knew he was going to end up getting disappeared if he messed with me anymore. Um,
right.
but yeah, so I got all that. I got that whole experience for free, which like whatever. But my buddy who I was with, not yeah, he started giving them money, like actual American money, and he got all mad at me at one point, which I guess is part of the reason why we don't talk anymore, because he's like, "Oh, I've spent so much money on this trip, and you haven't spent anything." And I told him, I said, "Well, part of the reason I didn't spend anything is because I'm paying them what they ask. Like that's part of the
Yeah.
thing. Like he does, or I do. I also was bartering a lot, which is what you're supposed to do when you're in Egypt. Is your
I think
because
that's a traditional old
that's their
world way
thing.
of
Yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah.
things. Yeah, yeah. Silk Road goes back to the
Yeah.
Silk Road.
As soon as I went, there's a market there called Khan Khalili in Cairo. As soon as I walked into Khan Khalili, there was there was a shop for headdresses, which my brother wanted a couple of them, and they were selling them for like $1 a piece, right? Like
Mm.
in American money. And so I walked in there, and I told the guy, I said, what kind of price can we come to an agreement on? And he goes into the back and he pulls out two chairs, and he puts a chair down for me, and he puts a chair down for himself, and we both sit down, and then he hands me a cigarette, and he had a tea, and he pours the tea, and he gives me tea, and we sat there for like an hour and a half and like haggled the
Oh,
price, and I ended up getting them for 10 cents a piece. 10 cents, you know what I mean? But I got free cigarettes, free tea, the whole thing. And then my buddy who I was with, like I said, he was all mad. He was like, man, you're screwing this whole country. Like you're going in there. And I was like, well, I'm Jewish. What do you expect? Like whatever. But no.
but I'm stimulating them
That's right.
economically.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they're not.
exactly. If
They
I
don't have
didn't
any
show
posted signs.
yeah, if I didn't walk into that store, like they would have gotten zero, cents or whatever, $0. So, and yeah, no, it's a great country. Like I said, if anybody asks me, should I go? I always say, yeah, you should. I mean, I'm sure the prices are a lot steeper now, 8 years on or whatever,
Yeah.
but and especially with the economy the way it is. But the exchange rate is the same. I looked already, and the exchange rate is still it's like 38 to 1 now, which is only £2 less than it was when I was there. But I remember going to a money exchange place, and I brought $100 bill with me, and I said, "Can you exchange this into Egyptian pounds?" And that would be, what was that, 4 grand, something like that. And so the lady literally looked at me and she was like, "Do you have a backpack?" Because all they had were
Wow.
singles. And I was like, "No, but
Yeah.
I can go get my backpack in my room." And so I did. I went up to my room at the hotel, and I got this backpack I had. I brought it down and I handed it to her, and she goes in the back, and then she brings she brings the backpack back, and I opened it, and it literally looked like I was robbing a bank. There was all these like stacked. Oh
What?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
Was it
went.
paper money or
It
was
was
it
all
like
paper money. Yeah, it was all paper
Well, it's
money.
not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
plastic. Because a lot of countries have plastic now.
Yeah. No, this is all paper, and I still have
Wow.
some of it. I kept a bunch of it, like a 20 and a 10 and stuff. I wanted to keep like one of each, and then but I went back to my hotel room and I dumped it all on my bed, and I like ripped it so it like all the bills were all on the bed, and I just laid in it, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like, huh?
Like
Like
that
yeah,
scene in Breaking Bad?
yeah,
Like the scene in
yeah.
Breaking
I
Bad?
was like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is nice. Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. But no, I definitely, if you have any interest at all in Egypt, um, I would definitely go.
I
You know,
definitely. I was talking to one of my good friends, Steven. He's in tribal seats. He's like a very moderately. I consider him a favorite famous person.
yeah.
But he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go 2027." And I traveled with him before. We've gone to like Japan several
Oh, you
times.
went to Japan? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So it's like it was really almost 10 years ago, but
yeah.
went there a couple times. And dude, it's just like how you said when it comes to like driving, and you see in the city, and then you just see the pyramids open up. That's how it is when we saw Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji. Yeah, yeah,
So we
yeah,
went there first. I think it was in the winter time. No,
yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
time was summer. But both times when you go from Tokyo to Osaka, it's a
Hmm.
2 hour bullet train ride.
Yeah, yeah,
But when we went on the train, I remember him telling me, he's like, "Dude, look," and I'm like, "What?" You see Mount Fuji? It's huge,
yeah,
bro.
yeah,
And I've seen a lot of mountains in my time,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but seeing that is really surreal. I'm pretty
Is
sure
it?
it's
Was it?
probably akin to you seeing the
Oh,
pyramids
I'd say the
too.
parrot. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but it's like magical. There's like this magic aura
Yeah.
around it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Why,
yeah,
why, why do you think that is? Because like I think there's a lot of magic everywhere now. And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
a lot of like the like in Japanese culture, Japanese like mysticism, like the mountains they live. There's kamis, so
yeah,
kamis
yeah,
are like
yeah.
the jinn or like this
Hmm.
entities or demons
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you want to call them. That they live
The
there.
the yokai. You ever hear the yokai?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the
yeah.
yokai. Yeah, yeah,
And it's like I think it's just like very magical, and it's like that's what I love about traveling is just being in a different place. And I'm pretty sure you could feel it too when you're
yeah,
in a different part of the world. Everything just feels different. It's almost like your body is magnetically just set to San Diego, but you go
yeah,
somewhere you know it's not San Diego, even
yeah,
though some things are familiar.
yeah,
You just know it's like you don't you belong there at that moment in
yeah.
time, but you know it's not
Well,
home.
Well, it's funny you were saying. So I grew up in Hollywood, right in L.A.,
Yeah.
and you were talking about L.A. earlier with your moms, and I remember this quote. I think it was from this writer named John Fonte, and he said that Los Angeles was a vortex, and that even if you leave, your soul stays there, kind of thing, you know.
Mm,
And I feel like that's like a similar to like where anybody's hometown is, like anybody that like has roots somewhere. Like obviously
yeah.
I have roots here now, so when I
Yeah.
split I gotta come back, right? Like there's no
Yeah.
like unless I take all my shit with me, then I guess like whatever, all right? But I'm here now and that's it. um when I left Hollywood, like when I was a kid, I did that was against my will, right? I had like I was
Mm,
foster care and shit, they took me and my brothers away. But like when I go back, the feelings that I have when I'm back in LA are different than the feelings I have while I'm here in San Diego. Like San Diego, I don't know whether it's the nostalgia or what it is,
mm.
but I don't feel that when I'm here in San Diego. In San Diego, I just feel like it feels like baseline. I'm like baseline
Yeah.
here, which is weird because a lot of people travel here because they're like, oh, this is the most laid back, amazing place in the world, all this shit. And I'm just like, I mean, I don't feel that. I feel like baseline here. You know what I mean? I don't feel laid back or energized or any of those things here. It's mostly just like I'm right there on the ground level.
Do you think that has to do with a lot of like your chaotic childhood and how LA is basically like a cesspool of chaos?
It could be that, and like me and my wife and my therapist and everybody else, we've all had discussions about why I feel that way because a lot of the comfort I feel or at times that I feel absolute comfort and happiness are when I'm in the midst of chaos. So I will
Mm,
say that like sitting here, like in, I live off of college over by SDSU. So like sitting here in this area, again, I feel baseline. I don't feel any kind of like whatever. But if
it's
you
like a
were to,
control. It's like a
it's
control.
control. It's all controlled
Yeah.
right now, right? But if you were to throw me down at Petco Park right now, downtown, with all like the bums and all that stuff, and they're all screaming at each other and all stuff, like my heart's gonna feel warm. Like I don't know what it is. It's some
I
weird
I
thing like that.
I I I I I could I feel strongly the same because
Yeah.
I'm comfortable in a corporate setting with my suit and
Oh, are
talking
you
about
really?
any
Yeah.
professional. I'm
Oh, okay.
comfortable with being presentable
Yeah.
and being articulate and immaculate and just presenting myself
Yeah.
and comfortable in a courtroom in a suit as I am just in, not showering, not brushing my teeth for a week, being on the street, just like bumming it with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel comfortable in both ways because it's familiar. I don't know why I get it. Maybe it has to do with just traveling, doing music, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
being a person that's open to being comfortable and just taking the ticket and taking, I mean, buying the ticket and taking the ride.
Taking a ride. Yeah. Yeah.
Just being in the moment. I think that has to a lot to do with just being comfortable with yourself and living in the moment. Because a lot of people, like you said, it's like nostalgia,
Yeah.
and people like to repeat and try to get that dopamine drip,
Hmm.
that rush with nostalgia. I think that's why a lot of people have memories that they have nostalgia for memories they never had,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think nostalgia has been sold upon humanity, and I think it's been commercialized and it's been mainstream, but I think it comes to just like, I think all of us are just yearning to just belong and just be comfortable, just feel like something is home, something to be like, just something to just call their own. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like it's something that everybody feels like they want to be somewhere where they can just be themselves, probably,
So
you know?
so you were talking earlier about music and how that like helps heal and things like that. My some of my favorite music to listen to sometimes is I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm sure you have because you're a music guy. But like new retro wave. Have you ever heard any of
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Synthwave, retro
Yeah,
wave, like
synthwave,
yes,
all that stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes.
And because that I don't know what it is about those synths and all that other like the composition, all that stuff, but it like fills me with that nostalgia feeling, and that feels good, right? Like to me it feels
Yeah,
good, but it also makes me feel sad as shit because I'm longing for this thing that I never really experienced. Like I never felt the way that I feel when I hear that music ever in my
yeah.
life. But
That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
but that music, if I'm just sitting there with it on and I just like cannot be like nobody bothers me for like 3 hours while I listen to it, those 3 hours are like transcendent. I'm like, man, I'm having so much happiness and peace and whatever.
did you the what's called it's called there's these little, just a side track,
No, go
it's
ahead.
I can't spell it now. Synth wave, tears in the rain,
Oh, like the Blade Runner.
like Blade Runner,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
the vibe, what you're talking about. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
like
I'm on Reddit.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like the atmospheric.
Oh, the YouTube ones where they have the whole
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
3 hours.
yeah, yeah,
This is all goth right now, but it's, oh man, what is it?
yeah. The
Okay, like
Smiths. Yeah, yeah.
this is the Smiths.
I love the Smiths.
There's,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, like PlayStation 2 ambient jungle,
Yeah, 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 ambient
you
stuff.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like ambient. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh
do
yeah, yeah.
that. I do that. Yeah, I do that with the with my students, like if they're reading something like so we have a I have a rule in my class that you have to read for at least 15 minutes quietly, at your desk. And sometimes, especially since um last month we had Christmas and everything. I was like, I'm gonna put on some Christmas music, but the students are like, oh, we don't like this Christmas music, that Christmas music. So I was like, all right, I'll just put on Christmas ambience. And so that's what I did. I would put on these like YouTube videos of like just you'd hear sleigh bells every so often, and you'd hear like the whisper of like an elf or whatever, that kind of thing. And the students dug it, they loved it a lot. So I thought like,
Like lo-fi radio,
yeah,
just
lo-fi.
stuff like
Yeah,
that,
it was like
lo-fi
lo-fi Christmas.
radio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny. I was watching a video. This came on all of a sudden. It was just like straight 3 hours of Gregorian chant music.
Gregorian chant.
Yeah, that was literally one of them. It came on
Oh,
like
yeah,
it was literally for like
yeah.
8 hours, bro. Just I was just like this when I was like going to sleep. It's just all just this.
Yeah, you hear that.
It's like, yeah, it's like
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff's
yeah.
amazing. I
That's
think,
crazy.
yeah, it goes back to the healing. I think it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
humans just like
And it's
we
those frequencies. It's the frequency. you know.
Yeah, it's familiarity. Humans are men, like you said. We're computers that like to pattern recognition and everything. I think that's why we find comfort in dance music. We find comfort in
Yeah,
repetitiveness because
yeah.
it stimulates the brain and it makes us comfortable.
Yeah, like
I think.
I'm making I make music and I'm making some
Mm,
music right now and I'm finding that like the drum because I've never been really good with drums. Like if you listen to it, like you could look on my on Spotify, Apple Music right now and search Robert James Cross. I've got 170 something tracks on there right now. But
yeah,
if
I'll
you
definitely check it
yeah,
out.
but if you listen to any of those, a lot of them don't have drums, and that's because like
Mm,
I've always felt like I'm very shitty at doing drums, and also
uh,
because the repetition of the four on the floor, like the bass, bass snare,
heartbeat.
bass, bass
Yeah,
snare, bass snare, that stuff has never been like it's never really touched me in the way that like drums that are different have touched me, but I'm getting better at doing the four on the floor thing just because what the music I'm making now is all industrial, like Nine Inch Nails
yeah.
type stuff.
I love that.
um
So
yeah.
I'm barely getting into Nine Inch Nails because I've been
Oh, you
listening to a
really?
lot of like dark wave and like a lot of industrial stuff.
Yeah. Like I have them tattooed on me. I think like I have the Nine Inch
Oh
Nails
yeah, that's right.
logo. Let's see, what's the yeah. Let's see, right, yeah, right,
Oh yeah, that's
there
right.
it is,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails. So, yeah, that's one of my holy trinity. There's Guns N' Roses, Nine Inch Nails, and then Jane's Addiction. Those are my holy trinity of bands, and I've seen all of them live multiple times, and you know
Those are LA bands too. I don't know
there.
about Nine
Yeah,
Inch
well,
Nails,
so
but
Guns N' Roses is an LA band.
yeah.
Jane's Addiction's an LA band, but Nine
Hmm.
Inch Nails is not an LA band
It's from
because
Ohio, isn't it? Is it
yeah,
Trent Reznor from like
Trent's from Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland,
Cleveland,
Ohio.
Ohio? See,
Yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
see,
yeah.
I have a thing. I have like a level of autism where it's like I can remember things when I can recall them and be accurate with them,
Yeah,
not because I remember them, but my brain just absorbs this information.
yeah,
Like I could literally walk into a place and my brain in the background just remembers everything. But somebody says, "Hey, have you seen my brown little pouch that
yeah,
has like my keys?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think I recall." It's like over there, I was sitting by something red. They're like, oh, the nightstand. I'm like, "Yeah, it was over there." It's like, "How did you know that? Why did you remember that?" I don't
yeah.
know. I just how I've always been.
That's crazy.
I think that just comes to just maybe being growing up with a house full of addicts or just growing up with addiction. You have a survival mechanism. You want to learn where the exit is.
Yeah,
Maybe you want to learn where how to get. And I've always been prepared when it comes to anything. I think being prepared for the worst is better than being informed about what's going on right now.
yeah,
Because when I was studying film, my cinematographer teacher Bajorkas, he would say, expect everything that can go wrong on a set to go wrong and prepare
yeah.
for it. You know,
That's Murphy's law.
that's Murphy's
That's
law,
yeah,
right?
Murphy's law. Yeah. Where it's whatever will go wrong can go, or whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Will
Yeah,
go wrong.
which is true. I mean, that's with any endeavor like this. I mean, this podcast, right? Like we we've been chatting this up this whole time, not really focusing on that theory that we talked about the last time.
Well, yeah,
But I
it
mean,
goes back to accounting. It
but
all
we
goes
get the
back to
accountability
accounting.
thing, yeah, and
That'd be
how
accounting.
yeah, which is like the in the thing, right, that I had, which I have right here. Hold on, it's on my phone. I had it right here. Where are you, phone? Yeah. So yeah, so the belief that we can discover the correct way to value the world rather than by observing what people actually do. So,
Mm,
what do we actually do? What we just talked about. Like a lot of what
mm,
we talked about was what people actually do. They travel,
mm.
right? They are addicts. They have careers. Like what are you doing right now career wise? What is your like
Cor-
main goal?
I mean, my main goal is just have money coming in by any ways possible. I think
Yeah.
just right now, since I'm basically starting over from scratch,
Hmm. And
and
how old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay, so you're only a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, just like
You're
two
not that
years.
old. You're still a young
I
buck.
purposely didn't shave just because I knew you were gonna have a beard.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
no,
I was
you
like,
don't need that. That's, yeah.
I usually and
Do
then
you
now
usually shave like all the
I
way
usually shave
down?
now. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
before I used to just I
Let it
used to
go.
let it go because I was overweight and whatnot. But
Yeah.
what's it called? Right now, I'm just trying to position myself in a place to be prepared and take advantage of the opportunity and excel at something because that's all luck is. All luck is just being prepared and seeing an opportunity and to seize it.
Yeah.
And I did that with like with SHIB, SHIB coin. You
Yeah,
were
yeah,
doing
yeah. I
Doge,
remember
but
that.
with,
Yeah, yeah,
but with SHIB, I bought
yeah.
like 2 billion coins of SHIB,
Yeah, yeah,
and that was in the beginning. I started telling everybody. I think I told you too.
yeah, yeah,
But I remember it hit one time when I cashed out. It was like at 42 grand, bro.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
cashed
yeah,
out at 42 grand. And this was
yeah,
before like exchanges were popular. I mean,
yeah,
there was
yeah,
Coinbase and whatnot, but like I like to position myself where I'm at the ground root of something. And I think that just has to do with, having a blank canvas and starting over. There's no parameters besides whatever I'm gonna institute and indoctrinate myself to have,
yeah,
and just try to excel because I think humans, we don't realize it, but we tend to be more creative and adaptive and overcoming things when there's parameters set upon the world and
yeah.
ourselves. I mean, we got to make money to eat.
Yeah,
So we got to eat to survive.
that's right.
So we got to, make money. Unfortunately, we can't do bartering system because,
Yeah.
I don't know what I would barter, well, for food or whatever, but, definitely it would use one of my skills because, my mom, she has, her cricket, we do art. She does, the Chanel stuff right here. She's doing
Yeah,
other
that's no,
stuff.
it's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Me, I've been literally just learning how to like reverse engineer and learn about. I'm getting into cybersecurity,
Oh, cool.
and
Yeah, yeah.
this is a foundless PC that I found in the trash,
Oh,
literally in the
wow.
industrial part of Mira Mesa Boulevard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw this because I just wanted to, come up on little pieces of metal just to start doing art or start
Yeah,
doing some kind of craft where I can make something by hand.
yeah,
And I want to go back. I don't know what it is, the musician in me, or just being crafty, or just being in a position where it's like I want to make something from nothing,
yeah,
and that's where I'm basically starting out, and I just want to make art because right now with the world it's going and the way Trump is doing everything, we're
yeah,
trying to manufacture jobs, trying to make
yeah,
things
yeah,
come back to us.
yeah,
I think things are coming full circle now when it comes to the
yeah.
world because a lot of our stuff was exported to
Uh-huh.
China,
Yeah,
now since we're growing up in a commercial in a society where it's all consumer and
yeah,
nobody knows how to make things to consume themselves,
yeah.
not to consume for themselves,
Hmm.
everybody's learning how to do art. I think people are starting to be more awake about their potential,
Yeah,
and I think that's what we as people need to start looking at each other and ourselves and seeing what we can offer the world because we cannot keep on doing the same thing over and over again.
no, 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 no.
If we
That's
want to
that's the
propagate the
definition of
stars,
insanity. Remember, like, yeah, you
exactly.
know.
And that's something that a psychopath doesn't mind doing. That's literally being a psycho. Psychos don't mind hurting themselves and sabotaging themselves. They
That's
don't
right.
learn.
No,
They can adapt, but they
yeah,
don't learn from their mistakes. And if they do learn, they don't mind crashing and burning.
yeah,
That's what makes people psycho. And I think people are realizing that too, that there's a lot of problems in society that we need to fix. And I think that all stems from inside because the revolution is not going to be televised. Like
no,
Jill Scott Heron used to say,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the revolution is in your brain.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah,
we got to
yeah,
revolutionize the way we think and we interact with society on a molecular level to a biological, to a chemistry, to interpersonal relationships. And I think that the world right now is at the cusp of another basically world war, but not with the countries. I think it's a world war within our own communities, man.
yeah. No, for
There's a
sure.
lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah,
of separation. A lot of all these institutionalized, indoctrinated tropes that have been placed upon us that make us reactive to these old ways of thinking and these old ways of judging. And people are getting tired of that. People are becoming more awake, and I see that a lot.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, you can change the way somebody day goes just by being happy around them because
Yeah,
it's contagious and just acknowledging people's humanity. And I just want to go back to just doing that, restarting life and trying to make some money.
yeah.
Money, you can't really go anywhere without money.
No,
But
no, you
you
can't.
can't throw money
Yeah,
at things to solve things either. Because if that was the
no,
thing, then the United States would be printing money and giving everybody $1 million. But that's not going to change things.
no,
You know what I
no.
mean?
Yeah,
We got to teach people how to do things, and I
and
think that's
create,
what and
create.
create.
Yeah,
You
create.
know, you know.
You know, but yeah, on that note, I think that is the perfect thing to cap off this amazing podcast.
Uh,
Uh, thank you again, and tell everybody your name.
my name is Lionel, also know the Chief Lion, but most recently Fetti Dredd. Are you
Fetti
ready to talk
Dredd.
about that?
See that right
Yeah,
there on the right there on
yeah.
the on
Maybe
your name.
I'll go
What
into
is
that
Fetti Dredd
later.
name before we sign off?
Well, I got it from fentanyl dread.
Oh, got it. Okay,
So the dread that you have from fentanyl, because I did actually die from a fentanyl overdose.
got it.
I did actually die and go somewhere for 12 minutes. I was dead, gray body foaming out the mouth.
That's crazy.
And somebody, luckily his name was Chase, he actually restarted my heart, kept pumping my heart, breaking my ribs.
Yeah.
And that was a good.
You didn't do that Narcan or any of that stuff?
They Narcaned me four
They,
times,
oh, four
and
times. Oh,
I woke up in the ambulance to like 4 or 5 ambulance AMTs looking at me like they just saw a ghost,
that's
and they're like, "Hey
crazy.
man, do you know where you are?" I was like, "Oh no, man," but thumbs up, and like I was hurting.
Yeah.
But that's where I got the whole Fetty dread from.
All
It's just
right.
fentanyl dread because I don't know. Maybe if you have me again, I'll explain the whole story because it touches on a lot of things, and
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people are
yeah.
suffering from a lot of
No, they
addiction and
are. They are.
you know.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have you again because this was a great conversation. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Likewise, brother.
and a good way to start this podcast, Cross Theory, where me, Robert James Cross, goes and looks at one theory in alphabetical order. Yeah, there's my book right there, Shards. Yeah, it is on sale on Amazon still, but it's the black and white version that
You
because
got to sign mine, bro. You have to sign
I will
mine.
I will come over and sign it because you live close enough for me to do
Yeah.
that.